put it on live for let people join up.
Okay.
Nothing too crazy going on this week.
All right.
We got a couple things to talk about here.
Okay.
Talk about this tuner.
I like it. I think, and they were talking about there's a mode in the pipeline of a G5 that might be out sometime
Okay.
late spring, early summer, and they were talking about how they can get the potential, the full potential of the V4, which is the current motor, with their analyzer. They have a tuner analyzer they were talking about a bit, but I don't know if that was to
The tunalizer? They
Hobbywing.
already have
Yeah,
that out.
yeah. So they were chatting about that a bit too, and that the services through Hobbywing, whether it's through Charlie or through that guy named Matt Gonzalez, they wanted to make sure that people knew their addresses so that in case they want to tune anything, any questions, anything regarding that they are there for them, that they will answer it right away, keep it very transparent, very they
They
want
just
people to have success.
they just came out with a new heli speed control.
Is that right? Hobbywing?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
I run all hobby wings in those.
Is that right?
Yeah,
I didn't know
platinums.
that. Okay.
And you
I
want
didn't
to
know
talk
that.
about expensive, man.
Oh, I can
Look at these.
imagine.
They just came out with the platinum, the V5, 14S.
14S.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They put some serious technology into these
Yeah,
helicopter
no, I hear
ones
you.
too, though.
Wow.
You should see the fan that goes. Oh, is it this one? No, that's the 150 amp.
Okay.
The fan they got. Oh, this. Oh, sorry, that's not the right one. That's the one I have now, the V5 one.
Now that little gooski that you got out there, you got the tiny little one, and you got the other one that's right next to it. What is that? Like a 250?
What the Goose Guys?
Yeah.
That's a 100 and a 200.
Okay. The 200. I'm interested in that. I wouldn't be able to get a receiver from the Align series, so I can use my radio that I already have for the Align. I wouldn't be
No,
able to do that.
no, we'd have to get you that, or I can let you borrow the NX6.
Okay.
What's up, guys? Joining up. What's going on? We're just talking speed controls, Hobby Wing.
That's right.
Oh, not sponsored by Seltzer. Sorry.
Good evening, guys, on this very, very dreary across America
We do
wet
have,
weather.
we have an odd camera angle today because we're expecting a couple guests. The weather is not fantastic out there, so they're running a little behind, but figure we'd
Yeah.
start anyway.
Absolutely.
We're just
Got a big
looking
weekend
at
coming.
the Hobby Wing website here. I can show you guys.
Just looking at some of the speed controls here, he was telling me about from 6S, which I thought was a lot, to 14.
Maybe I can't show you.
Just the size and
Yeah, it's
I mean, it's something else. It's
There we go.
incredible what Hobby Wing is really.
we're just looking at these are the helicopter series ones here. They just come out with the 200 amp, the 4.1. It's got this. I was trying to find the fan that they put on it. It's this giant dual fan thing that goes on there.
Well,
These guys are pretty wild. That's not it either. That's someone just put a big fan on it.
and this is all fans and accessories that you can get through Hobby Wing. It's not.
Yeah, this is a Hobby Wing.
This is all Hobby Wing and
Guy
nothing.
doing some
nothing
flying here. Killing it.
What do you think? That's like a 90 ship?
Yeah, this is a 700. That's what the Speedos are made for.
Okay.
I don't know which one that one is. Something Protos Max. I'm not familiar. But really, we wanted to look at the scroll up here. We're looking at where we were.
The box.
The programmer box.
Something that was talked about recent, and I wanted to bring it up to his attention about a
Some blind
new
here, I
Hobby
don't know what it
Wing
is.
box that's just
Products.
affordable and very informative.
Car and truck accessories. Where was it? I just had it up here.
Yeah.
Oh,
There
there
it
it is.
is.
Whoops, went too far. We were looking at this guy here. This is the new programmer coming out from Hobby Wing. We were just checking it out. We were wondering if it did the same thing the phones did.
Right.
This is their video here. It's pretty cool. Again, guys, we're waiting on our guests today coming in. This is just on the Hobby Wing website if you guys want to watch the full video. I'm not going to play it all here, but the new programmer LCD box with the Bluetooth OTA,
Right.
which is pretty nice. I use their Bluetooth one for the phone now. This guy here. We were just wondering if it did the same thing because this one is only $40 and the regular OTA is 63. So I don't know if there's a benefit to getting this one now or not.
Right.
which I'm curious about.
Which was very interesting how you broke it down too. It would be great if you had the box if you didn't have the signal.
Right, and yeah, if you don't have maybe a
Free phone.
Wi-Fi or a cellular signal, maybe this will fill a little void.
Right.
Looks nice though. Looks rugged. Looks
It does.
Looks like you
Actually,
can
they
toss
talked
it
about
around.
that. Yeah, actually, they definitely an upgrade to the old style.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. But anyway, guys, thanks for joining up again. Our guest was running a little behind, but we just decided to start anyway.
Yeah,
Drop some comments. Let us know. I've got to pull you up on Facebook here so I can see you.
big weekend coming up. One of the reasons we also have our special guest coming is they're also joining in on the big weekend, the big on-road weekend that's in the making here. And the first class, the first of 4 clinics. And we want just to spread the good word that every class is vital and every class is just as important as the next one. It's all part of totaling out your experience when you're in the pits and getting ready for a race. And I think the first one is a good startup because it's I think pit prep and all the tools, all the things that you should have with you, maybe not immediately with you, laying out everything from chargers to going right into your arsenal of equipment, how you should lay stuff out and why it's so important to
There we go.
get into a nice.
It takes me forever to find my own video. What's up? What's up? What's going on, guys? Again, I'm reading the comments on the phone here.
Like I said, anything that you guys want to shoot away right now, we're open to just about anything as we're celebrating the middle of this month or at the end of this month already. I can't believe it.
Bill, I would imagine that the programmer would work with an XRA Pro. I wouldn't see why not. It looks like it lists pretty much. The only thing it probably won't work with is their really cheap line of speed controls.
Yeah, maybe.
Quick run stuff. It says it works with some of the quick run stuff, but probably not all of it. But I would imagine the majority of things it works with.
And when we checked the price on the box, it was incredible. I mean, it didn't even really go up in price. It's worth just, based on the solidness of it. And
when it comes in, we'll play with it here.
We'll break it down a bit.
Maybe we'll even have a Hobbywing speed control in our new B7. We can play with both.
Oh, you know what? That would be fantastic.
But the box I don't think is quite released yet. I think it's just on pre-order still.
Right.
And don't have any real update on the B7 other than hopefully a week or two. That's pretty much all I got out of that. Kind of shows up when it does, but when it does, I'll fire one together for you guys so we can talk about it.
Absolutely. Can't wait to get it. Can't wait to see it.
Brian texted me. I don't know what he's texting. Brian, you must be watching the show. Tom just texted me. Oh, spilled the beans on that.
What's up, Brian? Hope you're feeling better. He's a little bit under the weather. And the rest of the on-road guys out there, if you're watching, if you're spreading the word, like I said, we have official practice this coming Saturday. I'll try to be here around noon. They say the practice is from like 11 to 8. And it all leads up to a 9 o'clock opening on Sunday.
Somebody's knocking. Come on in.
We'll go from there.
Everybody say
Hey, look at these
how's it going?
guys.
There he is. We kind of
I'll let you scooch right in there.
welcome. We just we're warming them up for you guys.
Oh, warming them up.
Yeah, we kind of got a weird camera angle today
How's it
because
going?
this is our biggest session ever. Well, it looks like we're doing all right here.
Everybody fit in?
All right, as you guys can see, our special guests have arrived. The Bishops. Everybody's
The Bishops.
pretty familiar with them. No big surprise there, but we had them join up because they are going to be joining us this Saturday for our first clinic class that we've been talking about, our 4-class race program, I suppose. It was, I'd say it was Tom's idea, yeah, but you probably worked on it together.
Yeah,
right?
we talked about it together.
Yeah, so basically they approached me and wanted to do the class like I spoke to about you guys before about it, so we just had them on. Well, Tom, they don't need to see me. They don't need to see. They know I'm here. They'll be fine.
Does he have short hair today? I don't know.
Yeah, they don't care. I know I'm the epitome of fashion, but
Yeah.
Tom and Anna joined up just to talk questions about the clinic and then kind of just go over what we're gonna do in that and why these guys want to do it and
We'll go from there.
maybe their new sponsorship program. We talked about sponsors a little bit. We're gonna say a little something about that this week. We said
That's right.
last week,
Yep.
so we can talk about that.
That's right.
It's a good
Whatever you want to talk about, we're here.
sponsor opportunity here that we can. This
Yeah,
is
let's start with that. Let's
talk about the good side of sponsorships because we did mention that we were going to talk about it this week with our guests, which is these guys. We just weren't 100% sure if they were going to make it. These guys drive from afar, and the weather is not beautiful out there today.
No.
Took us
So
an extra 20-25 minutes.
Foggy,
I,
accidents.
just to start it off, one of the things we mentioned on the previous show was sponsorship is basically a one big package, but a lot of people don't know the breakdown. Now, one of the breakdowns that's important for us in this industry is the way you guys go about your business, and to be able to run clinics where you can talk about some of the ideal things to get ready for a race, or you know what, breaking it down like that from you guys, from your point of view, is vital. It's a lot of things you don't see from sponsored drivers. A lot of sponsored drivers go about their business, again, of taking care of other packages of performance, traveling, and getting the good word of the hobby out. But what you guys are doing is one step further, which I find to be very, very important, as we are all sharing this hobby together. Because the bigger picture is we are all in this together. And I would like for a lot of these guys that are not sponsored, a lot of people that are just simply just getting by, to see how you guys get things done, and how vital that is and how important that is.
Yep.
And I just think it's important.
I think one thing, like, I like to try to, and I've kind of passed this along to Andrew, is I like to work together. Like, I consider Madness like family.
Absolutely.
You know, there's
Very beginning.
a lot of familiar faces that are here, a lot of familiar faces that know us. Some people out there on the podcast don't know who we are from a hole in the wall, other than the fact that we dial in every Wednesday night.
top commenters.
Yeah. But it's just one of those things, like, I like to give back. I used to coach youth sports, and like one thing I used to preach to my kids is you are only as good as your weakest player. So I feel like, you know, there's like, and anybody that races here knows that, you know, if there's ever a question or, you know, on a product that we run, or even not necessarily not a product that we don't run, you know,
I always thought that was really cool
we're
about you guys.
always willing to help. Like, I like to see this hobby grow, and I think we need more people like ourselves. And I'm not saying there's not other sponsor drivers out there that do stuff like this, because there are, but I just like to give back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
and that's what
huge.
sponsorship should be
It's huge.
about. It's not really. There's some days that Tom and, well, mostly Andrew, come down here and don't race. But they'll come down and not race, but they'll still be here to help with anything. Tom has helped me the whole dirt season with running, racing. Some days he just shows up to help out and not race, which is fantastic. And to be honest with you, they both do way more for whatever brand they're sponsored by. They used to be Losi, and then they switched to now Associated, but it doesn't really matter, I don't think, what brand they run for. You guys are always down to help with whatever needs to be done.
Yeah.
Which says more about well, I wouldn't even care if Tom won a race or not. He did more for whatever brand or whatever it is, rather than actually just being a dick and then just winning a race. Nobody cares about that.
Right.
I think
And,
that's the
I
one
think
thing.
you put
it's
that
like,
first. This point.
Yeah.
It's a little tough nowadays. It seems like a lot of sponsored drivers, they only really typically care about whatever sponsor they're running for. So, you know, let's say you're running for Associated, for example. Everybody's like, oh, it's only about the Associated stuff. You know, there's a lot of bias, it seems like. Where for me, I'm like, if I can help somebody get faster, or I can help somebody just in general, that's fine with me.
Right.
That's my main goal. You know, I don't care who you run for, what you run for.
Right.
Yeah, and I have no problem if, you know, somebody's sponsored and is pushing like you.
No,
You're sponsored by
I completely
Associated,
get
so you're
that.
gonna, you know, push people to run Associated cars, and I get it. That's the point. But you're not gonna be.
Ramming it.
You don't. You know, you run a Schumacher car. I just, you know, I can't look at that right now.
Yeah, and there's people out there like that, unfortunately, but you know,
And
it's where we kind of try to change it a little bit.
I think that sponsorships today have become more of a what do we call them? Contract customers.
Yes.
Where if they give you your sponsorship and they give you 20% off of retail, and now all of a sudden you're sponsored and nobody has no idea who you are. You're sitting in a corner. You don't talk to anybody. What is that? That is just hurting the hobby as a whole. And that's where sponsorships for me, and I know Chris have talked about it a lot, is just kind of becoming a little bit of a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys got sponsored and you guys came to me to want to do this class and do all that stuff. That's already more than
Yeah,
I
that's,
think any sponsor
yeah,
driver's
that's
really
a lot
ever
to really
done.
ask. Yeah.
There's only been a handful in the past. Matt Olson comes to mind. He was doing the MIP stuff and he did the camera work. He did a lot
another
for the hobby
exceptional,
too.
yeah.
He's sponsorship for
And he
him.
puts the drivers just like way ahead
Big
of
deal.
everything. Yeah, he does a phenomenal job.
The Jennings come to mind. Caleb and Clayton. They're fantastic guys. They're always helping people.
Yeah.
There's definitely some guys out there that I believe should be sponsored and give sponsorship a good name, but the vast majority of it, in a hobby shop standpoint, is just kind of pointless. And then everybody will just, I love watching I got sponsored by whatever Associated. I got to sell all my Schumacher cars now, everything I own, and then 2 months later, I got sponsored by Losi. I'm selling all my X-ray cars.
Yep.
Yeah,
They change their cars,
Yep.
their race program every 3 months because they got a new sponsorship.
Right.
It's like,
And like one
You're killing
thing, as far as sponsorships, like one thing that I feel like before you go out and apply for a sponsorship, I feel it's best to run that particular product so that you know what you're diving into prior to getting there, so that you
Right.
like myself,
like what
like
you're running.
yeah, like Tekin,
Right.
like I've only been sponsored for Tekin, Andrew and I, for I think 5 years. I've run Tekin products since way back in the brush days, the G10, the G11, and I like the quality of their products. So it's and the Campbells, they're great people. They stand behind you. Same thing with Jason Rona. With J Concepts, like great guy. Like couldn't ask for somebody better. He's a racer. He understands. If you got a question, we got a little team page that we go to, and there's always guys on there that are always willing to answer your questions. So.
That's a good point you bring up. Not only just being sponsored, but believing in the product. And if you really like the product, that's got to be gravy. I mean, that's
Yeah.
got to be like something.
Well, it's one of those things. Like I see people that and I won't use a specific brand, but I
Right.
see drivers for other brands that are having issues with their brand,
Right.
and they don't understand how the product works. And for me, being a sponsored driver, it's kind of frustrating knowing that these companies are sponsoring these other drivers and they don't really know or understand about their product.
Yeah.
And
More,
That's huge.
yeah, they're more being sponsored by them just because they got a deal on it.
Right.
And now they're going to start using it rather than,
Right.
I use this,
Change
maybe
yourself.
they can help me out if I spread the word about it.
Yeah.
Evolving.
That's two different paths, and that's kind of why that's the sponsorship path it took is, again, the contract customer where it's, I'm going to get 20% off of Hobby Wing speed controls. I'm just going to start using them. Or I get 20% off Tekin. I'm just going to switch to that now.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
think
that
a
you
lot
liked
of the,
it.
a lot of the issue seems to be that it seems like a lot of people in the industry nowadays, they chase the sponsorships, if you will. Like where I kind of use
That's what I'm
us
saying.
as more of an example where we raced for how many years before we even ran for anybody?
Oh, well, I've been racing since early to mid 90s. So, almost 30 years.
Wow.
And
Well,
when those guys came to you
Yeah.
Yep.
and asked you if you wanted to be sponsored and run their cars.
See, that's what I think it should
You
really
didn't
be.
just go online and fill out 47 resumes and online
Hope for
and
the best.
figure out which one was going to give you the best deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
They came to you, hey, you guys did good racing. I see you helped out a lot this weekend. You want to try our cars? I know for a fact that's how it was on the last sponsorship because I was here
Yep.
that weekend. And that's different because you're not just chasing a good deal.
Yeah. I think a lot of it too is like, being an ambassador for the products that you run, believing in them, understanding them, trusting them,
that's huge.
and wanting to help other people.
Right.
I mean, there's people, since I've been driving the new Associated Stadium truck that, have asked me, they're like, "Oh, wow, your truck drives so great. Well, what are you doing different?" I'm more than happy to pop the body off and say, "Hey, listen, this is what I've done. This is what other guys are doing, and I help them out."
Another thing with that too, is I see is you guys will say what you did change for setup, and then you send them up to the store. You're not just selling them something out of the back of your trailer.
Yeah, no.
You're like, all right, put these
Yeah.
springs and this and this. I got them right here. I'll sell them you.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, I've seen Tom, all the time, and Andrew behind the counter grabbing some parts. All right, I use these springs and these pistons there, and then all right, he'll bring you out or something
Yeah.
like that.
No, and that's one
That's
thing.
another
Like
big thing.
as a
Huge.
sponsored driver, I would never use or abuse my discount to buy stuff that I necessarily don't need to sell out
That's
of
a
the back
big
of my
thing as
truck.
well.
You know, I would never do that. I mean, there's been times where, you know, a customer's coming here, I have the part, and I'll go to Chris and say, hey, Chris, you know, can you order this part? I'm going to give this guy this part. He's going to pay you for it. And Chris will replace that part when it comes in.
Right.
You know,
Oh,
just to keep that particular person,
And
you
that's
know,
a big
his,
thing
his race
because
program going.
because in all, I mean, in all fairness, without the hobby shop, the sponsorships are really pointless.
Yeah.
Because the whole point of the sponsorship is to push said product you're running for. But if there's no store to buy it from
Yeah. How
or
can
race
you-
at, then what's the point?
of the
I mean,
comparison?
we've seen it lots of times where you get whatever discount on your motors or whatever, and they're over there, you know, selling
Yeah.
5-6 motors at a big race. You know, I get them for $50. I'll sell them to you for $70 instead of 100 or whatever.
Right.
Yep.
And that's all fine and great for a little cash in your pocket, but really, as a whole, you're hurting everything. And I can't say that I've ever seen Tom or Andrew ever do that, or
Well, you're not only hurting hobby shop, but you're actually ultimately hurting your sponsor as well, because you're taking money out of their potential discount that they're giving you, and you're taking that
I know,
percentage.
Right.
I don't know, over, I don't know, I think it was this year, maybe it was last year, I don't know. Tom had a car full of J Concept A scale tires that everybody was over like vultures trying to get, because they were on back order. I don't know, maybe he sold some, I don't know, but we couldn't even get them either. But that was hilarious. They were all trying to get them. I
Yeah,
remember
that was
that.
during COVID. That was 2 years ago
I don't
during
know if it
COVID.
was like reflexes or something like
Yep.
that in a certain compound.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would have given their life savings away for those things. I got some comments here.
What do we got?
I don't know. Let's see. Mostly people just agreeing with us on the sponsorship. I think I mean, there's I can't really think of too many people that are badly sponsored. Like, I don't think, it's not like, hey, that guy shouldn't be sponsored, or it's more of, they're just customers is what is bothering me. It's not anybody talking bad about anything.
I think a lot of the sponsored drivers are well deserved. It's just like I said, it's a package. It's a lot of the elements that makes it a complete sponsorship. You know, the events that you go to, the way you carry yourself in the pits, the way you carry yourself out on the track, the way you can do maybe a little extra with some extra time in your hands, the way you
think
go about.
I think it should just be.
It's a relationship.
I think it should just be harder to be sponsored. Is what it really.
That's all. We just feel like it should be something like once you get that grand reward, there's
Yeah, and you have to. It's. I mean, you can just go online and then all of a sudden they just spit out a deal for you for 20% off, and now you're sponsored because you put a sticker on their car and you run their battery. I mean, that to me is not being sponsored. That doesn't mean you just got a discount on a battery and now you run around telling everybody you're sponsored, but you ain't doing anything about it.
I think the one thing that's tough too is some of these smaller companies, it almost seems like they use people as more of like a marketing tool, more or less.
Well, that's
and
all it
they don't
is.
care if they don't have any like previous experience with it per se.
A sponsorship is a marketing tool in the grand scheme of things.
Yes,
You
but
guys run Associated so they
many-
can sell Associated, but you do a lot more for the brand rather than just getting a deal on the car and putting it on the track.
Yes.
Is what I'm trying to get at.
that from our perspective.
Is it's not, I don't have no problem
you
with
guys.
it with a company trying to push their product or giving something away or this or that, but for someone to say they got a deal on a battery and now they're sponsored by them,
Yeah. I mean,
it just makes the sponsorship seem lesser than what it should be.
I think what hurts it though is more of the short term versus long term terminology of it, where like you said, you see a lot of people that are 20-30% customers. Yeah, you'll see that region kind of pick up for drivers, but if every company does that, then like you said, there's no hobby shop to run
That's
that
what I'm
anymore.
saying. It just hurts
There's no track.
the track.
And at that point, you've got no market anymore. There's no market there to begin
They're
with.
hurting themselves too, because if they get a bunch of deals, then people are just going to expect that to be the price for what they're buying. Like they
Rather
give
than the actual
20% deal
retail,
to
yeah.
everybody. Now they just lost 20% rather than just
Right off the
sponsoring
board,
two key people that really push a product and are really great for the brand, and then just selling the product to the store.
I mean, there's been times where, you know, I've let people take my personal car out on the track to try it.
Oh, I do that all the time.
I've taken tires that I have extras of, you know, and somebody that I see out there that I know is struggling, you know, and 8 scale is a lot of it is tires,
Is tire.
the proper tire choice. And I've seen drivers out there and I'm like, hey, just try these. No, I don't want to take your stuff. Just go try them. Try them if you like them. Go into the shop and buy them.
That's
you
right.
know?
Sample it.
And that's, to me, that's what I feel, a sponsorship is about is, not only helping, getting your discount from your sponsor, but
getting your
you
hands wet
being
on
you being an
product.
ambassador going out there. And I'm not saying push your particular product, but letting them try it. So it's kind of like almost like they can try it before they buy it, and then they're like, wow,
Right.
this is a game changer. Like this
That's
definitely
huge.
helps.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason I even have a buggy for the most part here, is I just let people try it. It's what you said. Exactly. I'm not sponsored by anybody, but I mean, I'm sponsored by RC Madness.
Yeah.
The best sponsorship in the world. But I have my car here for the most part to let people try. They try any of my stuff really, maybe aside from helicopters, but
Right.
any of my RC products I'll let anybody try. I don't really, it doesn't bother me. But I think that's a big part of it is, but you got some people that are sponsored and wouldn't let you touch their cars.
Yeah.
I think 5 or 6 people have already probably ran my bucky
Yeah.
to begin
Oh,
with.
I mean,
I mean,
what's the worst that's
Had it
going
for
to
what, 3
happen?
weeks?
Break an arm, that's all right. I fix it. It's
Yeah,
no big
it is
deal.
what it
Don't
is.
worry
Right.
about it.
But I think being approachable is another big thing too. A lot of
approachable.
sponsor guys is they probably seem a little intimidating and not really. I don't know. Not approachable, I guess. You guys have always been pretty approachable. You leave your trailer door open over there. People walk in all the time. Tom's out there cooking hamburgers. He's a pretty approachable guy.
Yep.
I hate. Hell, I don't know what to tell you about that one. I guess, pretty much just everybody agreeing with us in the comments. I appreciate the support, guys.
Absolutely.
But I guess that'll lead us into our clinic there, leading off the sponsored. Me and Tyler P kind of did one in the past, and I believe you guys, Andrew helped me with that.
Yeah,
also.
Andrew.
Yep. I was there for all those.
Andrew was here doing some diffs and shocks. That's his favorite hobby is rebuilding diffs and shocks. But all jokes aside, he's very good at it, so that's why he's going to be here. But so the clinic is going to be similar, but these two guys approached me about it, and they have kind of a program planned out, which is on the website and on Facebook for each event. We kind of have it listed out. So the first class, I don't even remember. I got to look at that. Tom got it written
Class
down.
1 is pit
Twenty,
setup,
yep.
lighting, tools, and we're going to dive into the basics of your racing area. Emphasize on improving your proper lighting, hands-on assistance, organizing your space. Plus, we're going to do some LiPo battery setups, charging, and some tips for that as well. That's going to be the first class.
So this is
Huge.
basic pit setup. Me and Al were kind of talking about this on the sidelines the other day, which is kind of being prepared for your race.
Right.
And I think having a good pit setup is definitely part of that. Tom and Andrew always have a phenomenal pit setup. I mean, as far as organized, Andrew's got his color coded.
Yep.
Everything is green, and I always got to be yelling out at the end of the day to pick it all up because he's got so much stuff that he brings with. But it's always very organized and always very set up, which is kind of a big thing because if you got your car coming in broken and you got your tools on top of the screws, everything's scattered. I see some pit spaces and they're just a heaping mess.
Yep.
You're gonna struggle a little bit to get that fixed if you're over there rooting around this and that. You plug your batteries in backwards. So I think having a good pit space and being organized is definitely key to having a good race program. And Tom and Andrew definitely have a fantastic pit setup, even especially when they do A scale. They got a whole trailer out there. But we'll keep it inside for this.
It's funny,
for this clinic.
you hear some dreaded stories where sometimes you'll walk the pits and you'll be like, well, this is the way that I live. I live completely upside down. Everything is always messy. And I understand that sometimes people are just generally messy. But in this hobby, the one thing that you should allow yourself, the one thing to do is just prepare an area to work. You can be a messy person and understand your little bit of chaos.
Right.
But if you bring this chaos all the time, then you got to accept the fact that there are going to be times where you're going to slip and
Yep.
Yeah.
and play the blame game in front of you. Sometimes it might be something as simple as that, where it will start in my pit and maybe it'll start something grander in your life. Maybe you'll start to be more organized, but there's no room for that in this hobby. And I'm so glad that that's the first clinic you're going to have, because it starts with you unfolding up your towel or your pit mat and then setting up your charges and everything. Like everything has a beginning. I mean, not a lot of people have the luxury of having a full-time pit where they can walk away, turn off the lights, and then come back and everything. We got to, most of the time, set up our pit on a regular basis. If I race 12 times for that month, 12 times I got to set up and put away. And again, it's not, it might be okay for somebody that has already claimed a spot here full time and maybe has the luxury of leaving stuff behind, but chances are he still has it tidy. He still has his tools in one spot, his chargers, his battery, his arsenal, so I just think it's vital. I think this very first calendar that you're going to do is vital. It's the beginning of your day. It's the way you wake up in the morning. You might not do your bed in the morning before you go to work. Okay. But allow yourself just less chaos before you go out to that chaos. Like allow yourself, your mind to just figure out what's in front of you and allow the best product to be worked on because you got everything.
Yeah.
It's important. I just think
I just feel though, like when your pit is organized, like when we travel different races, like we always try to set our pit up exactly the same.
Right.
So that, if something does happen prior to a race and you do have, a minute or 2 minute grace period before your race starts, you're not going back to your pick, fumbling through, looking for a wrench, looking for this, looking for a wheel nut. Like everything's organized, exactly, like you almost kind of play it back in your head before you even get there that, all right, I know what I need. I know where this part is. Even this past Friday night, we were, somebody was looking for something and I pulled out one of my little jewel cases that has all different types of screws, nuts and bolts and washers and bearings in there. And the guy goes,
Jeez.
This is more organized than my kitchen,
Right.
Again, and it's like, it's one of those things, like when you go to a big race, like you want to be prepared. I mean, it may not necessarily be myself. It may be another team driver that, maybe they're out there on a parade lap and their wheel falls off and, they lose their nut off the wheel. And,
and we're hoping, on top of what you just said, we're hoping that it would change their culture. It would change it dramatically where, I took a look at a grown man or someone that I would like to take, notes and pages out of his book and apply it to myself. I was like, you're right. There are compartments for everything, even something as simple as a parts tray.
Yeah.
That some people 3D print certain things and they're like, hey, you know what? That will work. Thank you for the idea. Now I can put my body clips or my nuts, my bolts, my shafts, whatever. Everything has a spot. You just got to create this world for it.
Yeah.
And you guys are going to take the time to
and that's
like a recent experience with that. When we went up to Ohio, what was that, about an 8-hour drive?
Yeah, it was about 8 hours,
Wow.
8.5 hours.
There was quite a few people that were traveling many hours, and this guy I was out watching broke his car on the warm-up lap. And, we run a pretty tight show around there, so
True.
the guy's like, well, I guess I'm out. And I'm like, we can probably get your car back together. And like you said, being organized, being ready.
Right.
So we came back to the pits. We had a fresh new arm on his car in less than 3 minutes out onto the track.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there you go, man. I'm like, now you actually get to race your main. And I'm like, now you didn't just waste 5-6 hours of travel. All that time traveling.
For that one, because we're all basically getting ready for that one moment.
Yep, that one main event.
You know what?
Yep.
Oh,
We got him back out on the track, and he went out and did pretty well.
Awesome. And that's what I mean.
There's a couple things I want to touch on about the pit space as a hobby shop standpoint. I do really appreciate when people use the pit mats on their pit. I know you guys always do, just a foam mat or the board or whatever, just so it doesn't beat the crap out of our benches, which you guys have all seen, which are got the crap beaten out of them. We got to redo them again, but we'd redo them every few years. It really helps when you spill something or you bang it with a tool, and also. Not so much setting up the pit, but also picking up, taking care of all of your trash. Kind of pit space related. Tony brought it up here in the comments. That's why the amount of trash left here after a trophy event
mind-blowing.
is insane. And I know Alex goes around and sweeps up. I know you guys have helped me pick up garbage before. If everybody just picked up their garbage from their pit spot and then put it in the garbage can at the end of the bench, it would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Little side note there. I do the best I can to take out the garbage, and these guys all help me too, but sometimes
there's
it
a
is just
beginning
ridiculous.
of the day and there's the end of the day. If they were just responsible for their square,
Your little pit area,
just responsible for your square. It doesn't have to be perfect the whole table, just your
your
square.
soda can, your hamburger tray or
all.
whatever.
I've seen pizza boxes on top of it and plates and forks and
Yeah.
residue, and I'm like, you know,
My philosophy on that is you bring it in, you bring it out.
yeah, you bring it in. you
So,
bring it
yeah,
out.
and that
That's
I
right.
mean, I feel like that falls under the setting up a pit is taking it down as well.
This is your house for the next 5, 7, 8 hours. This is your place. You've claimed a spot. Now just treat it with some respect, and your program will be fortified. It all starts in the pit. You're going to spend most of your day in the pit. And you know what? You're gonna have a good time socializing. You're gonna have a good, but take pride in your area. Take pride in your
Yeah.
space.
And it goes for outside.
This is your house. I mean, this
outside
is-
too. I mean, I go out and I mow that lawn all the time, and you know how many just cut open wrappers I see of just
Cups
parts. They just cut the bag and then took the part out, and
right.
it's all on the lawn. I got to go around and pick all that
Hang a
stuff
bag
up.
off the table. You know
And
what I mean?
it's just part of the pit setup is cleaning it up as well. But that was my rant about that. Sorry.
We're not finger pointing
you
anybody.
gotta-
We don't have cameras. We don't have.
When you gotta pick up garbage for 10, 12 years, it starts to blow your mind just how consistent it is.
That's all. We just.
If you're not consistent about something, it's definitely garbage is what you guys are consistent about.
So at least they get an 8.
That's not every, that's
You
not
know,
that's not everybody though. That's not everybody.
No, it's not. Not
But
everybody. But
it's one of those cases of the few was ruining it for the many, I guess. But anyway, getting more into the technical pit stuff. We are going to break into the chargers a little bit too.
Yep. Do a little bit of the chargers, a little
So-
battery maintenance.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of the science to the batteries
That's
and the
huge,
charging.
Yeah.
So
huge.
any of you guys that are gonna now the class, I mean, anybody can attend. There's currently no limit on it, so we're hoping that we get a bunch of people. I mean, I doubt we'll fill the entire store here, but there's currently no limit. $20 a person. Come down, set up a pit. We'll definitely have some track time too, so it's not just going to be come set up your pit and then take it down and leave. You can bring your stuff and
Right.
play with your car.
Actually, we encourage it.
Yeah, for sure.
bring your stuff.
We're gonna tape off a section kind of where the lift is, because that's kind of a wider section. That's what 8 spots right off there. If we do both sides of the benches, we got 16 spots or so.
Awesome.
If we need more, we'll do more. But I know it's a busy Saturday, but at 6 o'clock usually it slows down a little bit. We're gonna tape that off early, so it'll at least be those spots. If more people show up, we're just gonna have to gather around, I guess.
What's the time to time?
We have 6 to 8,
Yeah,
but
2 hours. Yeah.
Gotcha.
yeah, 6 to 8. And Saturday is going to be practice for on road, so I don't think that we're going to be here till 10 because we're not going to be racing. So I think it's just going to be at 8 o'clock that we're open till. So the class will go 6 to closing. So you can we'll get some time in on the track then, even if I have to shut it down a little and just do buggies on the track or something. We'll see what's going on. But it's going to be primarily the pit setup and definitely the charging. If you guys don't have if you're really serious into the racing and don't have a decent charger setup, these guys will definitely show you what one's all about. I don't know how deep you guys are going to take it into that. I know you guys got the iChargers and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
I mean, I can go through some simple basics as far as like programming things like that with the charger. Like proper discharging, proper storage,
Yeah,
proper maintenance of a LiPo battery. Like I see it at a lot of places. You'll get people and they'll charge their battery really high.
Right.
It's one of those things. Every battery is a little bit different. You have to find out what works best for you in the way that you drive as what's going to work best for your racing program.
yeah. So a little bit of science on the batteries there definitely is not going to hurt.
Yeah.
And then I would say, do we have the tools in that one? Like the basic tools in that? Or is that a different class?
Nope, that's this one. I
Right.
got
It's gonna be like
Yeah, I
tools
got
and
like
charging
all
more
our MIP tools. I got our camber gauges, our ride height gauges.
Yeah.
I'll probably just kind of go through my box, my main
yeah.
box that I got, and just kind of pick out some of the tools that I got in there.
Just the
Alright, perfect.
basic tools that you're gonna need.
So yeah, so the guys, attending, if you're still getting in the game and don't have all of these tools,
Right.
they will be here for you to try out to see if
Actually,
it's something.
the timing is perfect because
Yeah.
you can just break down the essentials.
Yeah,
You'll
so
see it right there visually.
See if
and
it's something that
everything's available. at the
you would
store.
like to buy, because I know some of these tools can get a little expensive. A nice camber gauge is $30-$40 or something. You're like, do I really need one of this? Well, Andrew or Tom will bring theirs down, show you how it works. You're like, oh yeah, kind of could use one of those. And
That's one of those tools
you
I
can
use
grab one.
every single race.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Camber gauges, ride height gauges. Maybe you're not sure how it works, or if you want to use one or want to buy one. This is a fantastic opportunity to try one for free. Well, I guess not quite for free, $20, but you know what I mean. But they'll have all kinds of that. We got some pit mats up there, so you guys can grab some stuff. Yeah, sounds like it's gonna be a pretty good program, and some track time as well.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is
Yeah, it
fantastic.
really sounds like a complete.
I think I've definitely found some tools over the years too that just
Me
like
too.
little stuff that you're like, wow, that actually helps a lot.
True.
Yeah, there are some.
Not RC specific, you know.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yep.
The paintbrushes to wipe your car down
Oh,
every
that-
time.
That's always nice, but
Andrew spends all Friday night cleaning his
No,
A
but
scale that he didn't race.
it. I mean, it's little things like we actually made. It's a little slipper pad,
Yep, little
like
slipper
those
pad
shaving
sander.
things. So the amount of people that I see running mod, for example, like mod's picked up a lot this year, and
It has.
they'll be out there and be like, I just can't get speed, and then I'm like, well, when's the last time you checked the slipper pads? You know, it's pretty much like the clutch in your
point.
car, and if you don't have any sort of grip on those pads,
Yeah, what's
it's
the
not going to
point?
get up to speed. No matter how much power you throw at it, it's just going to spin. It's almost like having, you know, slick tires on your full size car.
Right.
No matter how much power you throw at it, it's not going to
That's
get
true.
faster.
Yeah.
You know, and I've got
Once-
this little thing, just sand down the pads and.
Once they glaze, they just don't go.
That's right.
Yep.
The glaze.
That's true. See, he's even got
Losing speed.
Even with tires,
Unrelated
too, when they have
tools.
glaze, they don't
Yeah.
go.
Yep.
That's true.
And it's all basic stuff that everybody has. You know.
You will surprise yourselves when you get through this clinic. You thought maybe you knew it all, the whole spectrum of it, but you know what? Seeing it through the eyes of others that have been doing it efficiently with a lot of success, you will surprise yourself.
I mean-
knowledge is power.
in all reality, you might as well come down and do it because it's only $20. It's
I
10
mean,
bucks.
it's the
It's 10,
best.
it's 10 bucks for practice. You might as well spend $20 and get some hot tips.
You know, just
Why not? We'd teach the whole building. We'll
I'm
fill
here.
every
I'm
pit
gonna be
spot.
here. I'm gonna.
Whatever. All
I
four
agree
of
with you.
all four of us will be here.
Yeah.
I'll be signing shirts. So just come on over. Even Al, both our signatures, I'd be worth lots of money. You know, a
think
few
that's
more.
even worth
It's a
more
few
than
more
that.
Yeah, training
podcasts.
cards, you know, at the end of the month, at the end of the year.
It's going to be really good. I've had some requests too to maybe do a day class too. That might be something in the future. I know a few guys have asked me about that. I'm sure these guys wouldn't be opposed to doing a
Yeah.
Saturday event or something like that. We are planning. It's not officially official yet, I don't think, but having a guest for a Saturday before one of our dirt races to have a dirt clinic by from a famous driver. It's not the Bishops, unfortunately,
Sorry, guys.
but they'll be here. But somebody else that we're working on. So just a little teaser about that until I fully figure that out. I'm not going to drop
We're
any
trying
names,
to cover all bases.
but that's going to be a 8 scale clinic the Saturday before. I think the second. I think it's going to be the second trophy race. I think it might be the third one, maybe in June.
Is the barbecue the official midway point?
Barbecue is basically the midway.
I know
point.
it's on non-points, It's just
Yeah,
a
barbecue
trophy.
That
is
race
just a
always
barbecue.
huge.
Yeah.
I love the barbecue.
Yeah, I love the
blast.
barbecue.
Kept the
blast.
barbecue. No points or nothing involved with that.
That's 2 days for the 8 scale.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, we'll talk about more of the 8 scale one. I'll just put it out there because we do have another 8 scale clinic coming up with somebody, I guess, pretty relatively famous in the RC industry, which is pretty cool. We're gonna stick with this claim for now. This is a little teaser. But yeah, we got our 4-class program with the Bishops here. It's gonna be fantastic. Come down this Saturday. This Saturday is also on-road practice for the January Jam, which is Sunday. Practice till 8 o'clock for on-road. The Jam starts, doors open 9. Racing starts at 11. Everybody keeps asking me what classes we're gonna run.
Just bring your
We'll run whatever we have enough to
fill.
run.
Right.
I mean, I
Just
don't.
pack it in your car and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, basically, pretty much. I
Because
know
they've asked just about every single class. I know sedan is
Yeah.
finally 25.5,
sedan 25.5 should be here.
GT12,
GT12, Formula One, TTO2,
and the little guy.
the rally
Rally.
cars.
I think they.
Yeah, if we get
they
enough
had
for the
mentioned that
rallies.
it's enough for rally, but now people want to do maybe
I've
a
heard
12 scale LMP.
I've
the
heard
75.
Euro truck.
Right.
Guys are asking me about
Minis.
that. Again, guys, it's
Just
if you can gather up, I'm going to say 5 cars just so we have enough people to marshal the next race. That's really what we do there. Then we'll run it. I'm really not too worried about it, but definitely 25
Yes.
sedan, Formula, 12 scale, and TTO2 is definitely looking like it's going to be the biggest turnout.
Right.
So, again, if you got it, bring it down.
yeah.
I don't know if you guys got any more questions here for us before we close it out. We'll go to the little Q&A if anybody's got anything.
anything in the future, anything that you
Speak now.
feel, yeah, we should
Speak
work on
now.
something, anything related to the clinics, anything you guys, if not, that's good. I'm glad we were pretty clear of, what's going on. I think a lot of people get the general consensus of what you guys, after the 4, you guys want to get out, because again, knowledge is power, and we just want to get people starting to just jumpstart some sort of good habits, good practice. And
Yeah.
you know what? The rest of the guys that are racing with you, they should at least also be surrounded by people that are going to take that somewhat rhetoric
mini Zs.
serious. I mean, how
Yeah.
many times have we stopped and been on a holding pattern because we got to wait for somebody? Maybe he overlooked tightening up his equipment. Maybe
Yeah, it's something stupid like a pinion or something.
yeah, or just something like, sometimes we just got to go over like something as simple as maybe charging your transmitter battery.
Yep.
Like sometimes you have to remind yourself and prepare yourself that it's not only just getting ready for the 5-minute spurt, but everything that goes with entering a driver's stand and coming out of one, getting ready to marshal afterwards, making sure your equipment is off, making sure that you understand where you are in your grids. Because it's a total package, and
The full program.
the full program. And you know what? If you're vigilant, like if you just lock in on what's at hand, your experience with the hobby would be incredible. And if you have extra time, you got your phone. You can maybe,
We got a couple
entertain
questions.
yourself.
As far as mini Z goes, I think after this weekend, Tony, I'm gonna set up something with my pipe, and we can at least
Right.
maybe do a little box stock action for the mini Zs.
That's definitely what's going to roll first is box stock.
We're gonna roll a box stock because that's what we have in stock, and I want to start racing stuff. So I'm gonna just
Hopefully we'll get tires for that.
I'm not gonna have much time till after this weekend because of the jam. So we're gonna dive back into it after that, maybe Wednesday.
Yeah. You know what? Wednesday?
Bishop's question, Dave Schwartz. What have you heard about the new Falcon 8-scale buggy tire?
I've got some. As soon as we get some nice weather, I'd like to test them. My understanding from the JC page, reading through everything there, is that it is a good
See if I can find it.
tire, alternative tire to like a Reflex.
Had quite a few new tires,
That
didn't they?
is good for a blue groove with a little bit of dust on there. I will have some, obviously once we start racing outside. So if you guys want to try some, come find me.
Oh, wow.
They just had a decent amount of tires they released.
Now, is
didn't
that that's the smaller pin one, right? Because I know there's a larger pin.
No, the Falcon is the one that literally looks like a Falcon.
they? This guy here.
Yep, that's the new one.
Did they actually mention that tire at the end of the season?
No, they just released this tire.
Oh, okay.
Yep, this tire was literally just
So
released.
people racing in some, like people with warmer weather might be able to get on
Yes.
So this
Yep.
is like kind of reflexy with a bigger lug, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's
It's like a mix of a Reflex and a Cosmo.
Yeah, it's a Reflex Cosmo,
Oh, wow.
They had another one here too.
the
This,
Recon. Yeah, the Dirt Bite. That's similar to
It's almost like a fuzz bite for 8 scale.
a Reflex.
kind of, yeah.
It's got a smaller, closer pin. So looking forward to trying those out. To see what they're really going to handle.
And this
out
comes in
there.
different shores? Like that one's
Yeah,
a blue
yes.
compound?
Yeah, they make a blue, a green, and an aqua.
Oh, an aqua.
Yep.
Is that
Yeah,
right?
the A2 is a soft long wear.
Okay.
Typically, you want to balance between like a blue and a green, depending on temperature. Then the Aqua's more for abrasive surfaces.
Gotcha.
unrelated note.
So when
they came out with some pretty cool tires
so
for the
when
mini
it starts
cars.
to get really dark,
Check those out.
Yep.
that's when it becomes abrasive?
That's more like a green tire where it's getting colder.
Oh.
When I'm more thinking like hard pack stuff where
Right.
abrasive is
another
like.
one.
LCRC is a great example.
Gotcha.
LCRC becomes very abrasive because there's a
Teasers.
super heavy groove in there from the rubber.
Is that right?
It's like a whole shot, huh?
Yeah, they've had the teasers for a while.
Jason's over there
And that-
spitting out tires like crazy,
That has
man.
nothing
Yeah.
to do with ruddy. When it gets
No.
ruddy.
No,
These crawler tires
They
too.
tell
It's
me
actually
they-
tricky though because there's some
that
tracks like when we went to Roarnats, it got abrasive, but then it also got bumpy. So it was like
wow.
it was kind of that
1 point-
trickiness because you need a
4.9
hard tire
Tusks.
to
But a
get
different
grip
insert.
mid corner,
Right.
but at the same time you also wanted to get through the bumps. So
Oh.
you got to play that game, and that's where you started
Were they-
doing with like foams and
Gotcha.
Yep,
Yeah.
it got tricky.
I've always wondered about that.
yeah. There's a lot of stuff that you can really do with an 8-scale tire as far as stiffen the sidewall.
Right.
Trim the foam that's in there. Punch holes in the
Oh,
foam
wow.
itself.
Oh,
like-
there's some crazy
Oh,
stuff
wow.
that some of these pros do.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And I mean, it really depends on, like your local track. Once you figure out what tire works best for you and the way that you drive,
Right.
like, you know what to do. But like when you go to some of these bigger races,
Sure.
you talk to some of the other team drivers that are there and say, hey, what types of tires do you guys use there? Oh, well, we use this tire and, you want to do X, Y, and Z to it.
Right.
Well, you try that and it might not necessarily work for you because your driving
Sure.
style might be a little bit different.
Sure. So they'll give you like a ballpark.
Yeah.
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 I think the one thing I loved last year was we were gluing foams on the inside. So we were actually taking the inside of the foam and gluing it right to the rim
Yep.
so that it doesn't expand when you accelerate.
Is that right?
And it actually gave you more grip. Yep.
Keeps
I've
the
always
tire,
wondered. I've always
keeps it-
wondered about that.
keeps the
Yep.
tire flatter.
Is that
Whoa.
right? We're gluing
Don't
the
give
foam
away
to
all the tips. We have our tire gluing clinic. The tire gluing clinic there.
Just a little
That was
sneak
a,
peek. That's
that was
all
a
it
sneak
is.
Yeah.
peek of a
That's
past
a
tip
little
right there.
look under the
Oh,
covers.
relax. We'll do a little. You guys gonna do a little A scale for that too? Because I know a lot of guys are
Oh, yeah.
interested in that.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
I'll-
probably do some A scale stuff.
And that's the biggest, like, I glue so many tires. Like, I glue all the tires for myself. I glue 99.9% of the tires for Andrew. So it's like, it's one of those things. Like, I've glued so many tires over the years that, like, I've got my method that I do, and people are like, well, when I try to glue them, they come unglued. So
right.
it's what is the process that you're using?
Right. That's
You
right.
know?
And you're getting back to,
Yeah.
you might see it from another eye,
Yep.
just,
So the clinics aren't really 10 scale specific. Like when me and Tyler P did it, we did a 10 scale one for the racetrack. It can be applied to, I think, pretty much any form of
Yeah, I
racing.
mean, if you have a question, even though we're inside, I mean, we obviously can't do the clinic outside because it's, currently today it's 38 and raining out. So,
No good.
when it's 35, 40 degrees, you can't really do a clinic outside. So, we're
Right.
going to do it inside. If you do have a question that, might not necessarily be 10 scale related, that's 8 scale related, don't
Fire
be afraid
away.
to ask.
right away, yeah.
I mean, most of the concepts that we're talking about carry to pretty much any
That's right.
racing. I mean, basic pit setup and tools, that's pretty much any class of racing. Tire gluing, body trimming, wings, that's 8 scale, 10 scale, on road.
That's right.
I think
so-
the
the soldering
soldering,
clinic, that-
soldering
Oh
is
yeah, soldering.
That's
Any
going to
car.
be
Oh,
huge.
man.
every form of RC. I mean, the soldering clinic, like I said, I'm going to set up a couple irons here, and you guys are really encouraged, not so much so I can sell soldering irons, but to pick up a soldering iron. I mean, we got those up there for $45. You can throw it in your pit bag, and
Right.
I mean,
No
why
room out at all.
It's not a bad
you
thing
can?
to
I
have.
mean, I'm
Yeah.
not. There's a line
It's
up
one of those
there.
investments you never get rid
Yeah,
of.
there's a
You're
line up
always
there at
gonna
the
use it
counter.
as long as you're in RC. Exactly.
and you got to get your motor, swapped out or something like that. You don't want to wait in line for 20 minutes to have me unsolder 3 of your wires.
Right.
It's you pull your iron, solder it.
And you know what? You apply yourself, you will surprise yourself. It's something of just once you get it, you're like, why didn't I just?
Yeah.
The biggest thing I see with soldering is then just not using the right solder, running the iron too cold, and not tinning them correctly.
Right.
If you use the right wire, tin it, all the right stuff, it's really not
It's a thing
hard.
of beauty when you
Yeah.
It's very easy to do. It's just I think a lot of people aren't using the right equipment with the right tools and stuff, and
Right.
then once you realize it's actually pretty easy, then I think you won't be so nervous
Yeah.
about it.
I think what some people with the soldering get upset about, or the misconception is they don't have the right soldering iron. Like,
Right.
they'll go to a big box store and they'll buy a soldering iron that's not necessarily designed for RC.
Right.
The gauge of the wire really depends on how hot you want
Right.
to solder at. If you're only doing a 16 gauge wire, you don't want to solder at 500 degrees.
Right.
You
you're
only
gonna
maybe
need some,
want to solder at 300 because that wire will melt.
and
So-
internally won't do anything
Yeah.
to your product.
All the time. But I don't want to say that a lot.
Yeah,
I'm very quick.
yeah. Pin it to win it.
All the way up. I turn mine all the way up all the time, but you got to be very quick about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, after
Listen-
a while, you know what
Listen
what
to
you know.
Tom. Well, it's-
I mean, especially when you're inside and you've got your speed control wide open and you're soldering wires onto your speed control. You don't want to touch the inside of that speed
No,
control
you got to
with
be
an
very good.
iron that's 900 degrees because
You just got to be.
it'll melt everything together and you'll
Heat
be
is
back
not a
to square
friendly
one.
source
You
to
gotta be-
electronics.
You got to be very quick about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you don't want to do that. But we're not. We're not going to open
Again,
up
we're
the
not
class
gonna
soldering
jump-
circuit
No.
boards, so don't worry
We're
about
going to
that.
give the basics of soldering. Soldering 101.
Yeah, I got
Basics.
plenty of scrap connectors and wire around here, so that's for sure.
Absolutely.
So I'm just gonna dump it on the table, and you guys can just melt them all
And they
you
might
want.
have people out there might have projects that need attention.
Oh,
Maybe,
for sure.
you
Bring
know
your
what,
own
we
project.
encourage
Oh
it,
my god,
and
yeah. I'm just
God,
gonna
this
bring.
is the best spot.
I got a bucket of wire and connectors that you can just sit there and melt to a puddle, and nobody will care. So you don't have to practice on your own items. I know that's a big thing too. I understand. You buy $300 worth of speed control and motor, and then you're learning how to solder on that, dude. I understand
I
that.
get that too.
So I'm gonna have a crappy old Dean's plug and some old wire, and you can sit there and cut it back and tin it 67 times.
I think one of the biggest problems I always see is like people cold joining wires together.
Oh, yeah.
And every time they're like, I go out and race for 3 minutes and my wire comes off. Like I don't understand
Like a
why.
little
Yeah, you got to know
I see
what
that
a
all
good
the
joint
time.
looks like and
Right. The
see it flow
color,
together.
the shininess.
I don't remember which class that was. That's towards the end, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that's a third class.
Yes. That one's towards the end.
Nope,
Again,
that's
they're-
class 2. I stand
right
corrected.
on.
Class 2.
Task 2. We don't even remember on our itinerary.
Master the basics of connecting parts and soldering.
All right.
There you go.
That's class 2.
What kind of iron is it? Excuse me. What kind of iron is a good one, Brian? That one. Jeez, sorry, I'm drinking seltzer. That one that I just used on all your stuff the other day. That the Squire one, I think it's called, in the white box. $45.
It has the plug, right? You just plug
Yeah,
it
you
to
just
the-
plug it right into the wall. No power supply. You turn it on right here. Click. Heats up. I don't know.
I think Tyler
minute maybe.
Marcy had one. I was using it the other day, and it was.
I think every company that is RC related makes a decent soldering iron. I mean, the one that I prefer is My Pit Space. I'm not sponsored by them, but the one that I prefer because it plugs right into my 12-volt power supply.
Yeah, if
But
you're
you do
rocking
have to have a power supply.
if you're rocking a supply in your pit setup, 12-volt ones are fantastic.
Right.
If you're at home, the 110 ones are great.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Tom said, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be that one. I have grown to really like that one because it's $45 and really is doing the job very well for us. But like I said, at Tom, any decent, well, I mean, there's probably at least a dozen of them out there that are probably pretty capable irons.
Haku is still making irons.
Heiko?
Yeah, I still got them.
Yep.
I was gonna say it all started with me with that one of the first things
Yeah.
I ever bought. It wasn't even Radio Shack. It was
406?
like- yeah.
Yep.
Love that thing. It just
I think
like
the biggest thing.
one of the oldest thing I own in my pit.
Yeah.
It's over 20 years old. And it's like I don't even want to
Still
lay it
going
down.
on.
So it's a relic.
Can't even get tips for this anymore.
Yeah, it's just. No, what are you doing? Playing with the lift on the weed? Whoa!
I think as long as you're getting up to temperature,
Yeah.
you know, the tip doesn't cause you any issues. I've seen that as well. Like people try to come in and sometimes, you know, if you're starting out, you come in with something that doesn't really have the tip for it. If you know, let's say you're working on an iron that's got small electronics,
Right.
you know, on the mind,
Sure.
it's going to have a very small tip, which
Right.
really is not meant for RC soldering, I would say.
Right.
You know,
It's like
Yeah.
128 scale. They
yeah,
had the
yeah, the little micro,
yeah,
like,
it's just
The needle
it's
tip.
almost like
a
a
needle
yep,
tip.
yep.
And how does that get hot? And,
and then that gets tricky.
oof,
But
More
Yeah.
on soldering in the next class.
yep,
absolutely.
follow for more.
Whenever you need help with it. I
Class
mean,
two.
as long as we're not too swamped with people who are doing jobs, then I don't mind showing you how to solder. I'd rather teach you how to solder than have you keep coming up to me and soldering every 2 minutes. And to be honest with you, if you're gonna build cars and on a regular basis,
Yeah, you got to add that to
and
your-
racing, soldering is just something. I mean, if you're just gonna build one car and that's gonna be your car, you're not gonna change anything. I kind of understand not buying a soldering iron, but if you're deep into the hobby where you're showing up and racing on a regular basis, it's time. It's
Right.
time to get a soldering
I
iron.
totally
I think
agree.
even most serious bashers, I mean, they got
Even, yeah,
10,
serious.
15
Well, I'm just
cars.
saying-
Like,
A certain level in the hobby, if you're swapping things around and you're doing this and building that,
That's actually a good point.
an iron, and it's a decent skill to have just in your back pocket. I know if on my real car, I've had to solder a few times.
Oh, yeah.
That's real.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
On components unrelated to RC,
I've
done
soldered
some
trailer
soldering.
wires together before.
Right.
I had to fix trailer. I had to fix my trailer because I pinched the wires and cut the whole cord right off it. Soldered it all back on.
Yeah.
And I used that 110 one on the pole on the light because I pulled my trailer outside. I used it right off the light pole outside. But yeah. Anywho, I think that might be it for us today. I don't know. Any more questions in here before I looked? I don't think so. I think we're doing all right here, guys. Again, I appreciate all the support, guys.
Thank you guys for the support.
I really
Don't forget
like
to hit
it.
that subscribe and like button. And
Yeah, the like and the share button greatly helps us out, and
Yes.
getting more followers to spread the word of RC.
That's right.
Sounded religious there, but
Again, big weekend coming up. Like I said, from the clinic to the on-road portion, please let's give January a good send-off. And again, we appreciate everybody, just everybody's enthusiasm and everybody's support. Remember, supporting the hobby shop goes a long way. And again, you want the doors to be open. You want a place to race. Just keep doing what you're doing, and we'll keep doing what we're doing. And thank you guys for coming. It really means a lot
appreciate
to
it,
us.
guys. Appreciate it.
It is an honor to have you guys.
Come down Saturday, whether you're just coming to hang out or want to hit the
hang out with
clinic.
these guys.
I hope to see you all there. Again, thank you guys.